welcome to lecture 15, inheritance. So, in the last class we had seen hierarchical inheritance where we had seen an example in C++, right. So, we took an example where class A, right, was considered as the base class, and class B is one of the derived class, and class C is also another derived class, whereas the class B and class C can have or can utilize the properties of class A, right. So, that means it can use the instances, that means the member data and member functions. So, with respect to C++, we had seen one example, right. So, on the continuation what we can do here, so we will take an example in Java. So, in Java hierarchical inheritance is possible, whereas we had seen the multiple inheritance is not possible, right. So, when multiple is not possible means hybrid is also not possible, correct. So, whereas hierarchical inheritance we can have in Java. So, we will see one example of hierarchical inheritance. So, let us consider class shape, right. So, you have the private member data. So, let us say you have string color, private member data string color, right. So, class shape is a base class, right, and then I have one constructor, one argument constructor string color, right, as the argument. So, the name of the class and the special member function is same, alright. So, here you have public, so which you call it as a constructor. So, the color, this pointer we had already seen. So, color you will get the reference, right, this dot color. So, it is nothing but the reference, this is a pointer. So, that is getting the reference. And similarly, we have one set color method, right. So, that is a constructor, line number 5 to 7 is a constructor, 5 to 8, and line number 11. So, let us assume that you have one method which is set color, alright. So, you have an argument color whose data type is string and color, right. So, it is going into this dot color, it is getting a reference, right. So, this is a one of the method set color. You have another method get color, right. So, get color, you can see the return type is string, right, it is returning color. So, now you have another method, right. So, which is called the calculate area, right. So, the calculate area which is returning 0, right, return 0. I have not defined anything, which is returning 0. So, your class is getting over here, right, your class is in line number 24, class is over, right. So, the name of the class is shape. So, I will just draw somewhere maybe shape, right, it is the base class. You call it as super class, in Java it is super class. And then assume that I have a derived class, right. So, here you go, you have the derived class, the derived class is circle, right. So, let us have the derived class called circle, which is extending shape, class circle extend shape, right. So, this is the syntax in Java we had already seen. So, that means here you have the class is circle. Circle is utilizing the properties of shape, that means circle is inheriting shape, right. So, the circle you have the private member data called radius whose data type is double, and then you have a member function, right. So, you have a member function called a circle, right. So, in fact, it is constructor special member function, nothing wrong if I say, right. In fact, it is a special method, right. You have a constructor, 2 argument constructor where color and radius, right, whose data type is string and double respectively. So, now we have in the last class we had seen super, right, the keyword super. So, super of color. So, that means it is calling the base class constructor, super of color is nothing but calling the base class constructor. What is the base class constructor? So, here you go, you are passing this. So, the base class constructor, right. So, the shape you are passing the color. So, color will be assigned to this dot color. So, that is what exactly happening over here, line number 32. And here in this particular constructor, radius is assigned to this dot radius. This is a pointer. So, that means it is getting the reference. So, now I have another member function of same name, right, method, right. I have the method calculate area, which is in circle, slowly we are getting the override concept, right. When I write at override in Java, which is possible, that means the overriding is happening over here, right, because if you look, I have calculate area in line number 21, which is available in shape class, right. So, this function or this method is available in both the classes, calculate area, right. Shape return 0, and in the case of a circle it is calculating pi r squared, math.py, right. I have included, right, assume that I have included the math, right, math library, and then so math.py, and then you have radius multiplied by radius, pi r squared, basically pi r squared, return pi r squared. Pi r squared, we know that it is area of the circle, correct. So, here in the case of circle we have area, calculate area, right. Overriding will happen, we will see which one will be called, correct. So, anyway, we will extensively we are going to study about the overriding concept, right. So, that is one class, right. What about another class? Another class is rectangle. Rectangle is also extending shape, right. The rectangle is also extending shape. So, let us see, I will put the diagram. So, rectangle which is also extending the shape, right. So, that means, so this is a perfect example of the hierarchical inheritance. That means, the class circle is also inheriting class shape, rectangle is also inheriting class shape, right. So, this is what exactly happening. So, let us see what are all the member data and methods are being used in rectangle. Here you go. So, you have length and width, both are private member data whose the data type is double, right, and then you have a constructor rectangle. So, you are passing color, length and width, 3 argument constructor. So, super of color, that means it has to call the base class, exactly like what we had seen in the case of circle. So, rectangle also you have super of color, line number 32, like line number 32, you have line number 50 as well, super of color, right. So, that means the base class constructor will be called, will be invoked, and this dot length is length, this dot width is width, that means both length and width is getting the reference, right, for this particular object. Again, here you have a overriding function, overriding method. So, here you go, calculate area. So, that calculate area will return length into width, calculate area here in this case will return length into width. So, that means all these classes are having this calculate area method, right. Shape is also having, which is return 0, line number 20 to 23, and here also you have line number 36 to 41, right, 36 to 40 you have calculate area for the case of circle, and for the case of rectangle you have 55 to 58, right, 59, right. So, same function, same method. So, now we will see in the case of main program how they are being called, right. So, in the main how they are being invoked, right. So, which will be challenging. So, you have void main. So, there is a this is a driver class, class main, right. So, you have the hierarchical inheritance. So, hierarchical inheritance in the sense both circle and rectangle are being inherited by shape, right, they are inheriting shape. Now, in the case of main, assume that I have one circle object small c, right. So, here I have circle small c, I have one circle object, right. So, circle object you are passing what? Circle object you are passing red and 5.0, right. So, circle you are creating an object under capital C class, right, capital circle class, you are calling this inheritance, sorry, you are calling this constructor, right. Dynamically you are allocating memory with the new operator and you are calling this circle constructor by passing 2 arguments, right, parameterized constructor, you are passing red and 5.0. So, when you are passing red and 5.0, let us see what is happening. Circle, go to circle. So, here you are passing red and 5.0, color is red and radius is 5.0, right. So, here I write red and 5.0, right. So, now you have here the super color, that means the base class constructor will be invoked. When base class constructor is invoked, you are passing red, right, color is red, right. So, base class constructor, what is base class constructor? So, you have shape, right, with the help of super you are doing, alright, with the help of super you are doing by passing color, alright. So, that means the base class constructor will be called. So, that means line number 6 will be invoked by passing color, color is red. So, that means this dot color is red. So, color will become red now, right. So, color will become red now, this dot color is red and this dot radius is radius 5.0 you are passing. So, this dot radius is 5.0, right, this dot radius is 5.0. So, this dot color is red, this dot color is red and this dot radius is 5.0, right. So, when you are calling, when circle is calling get color, right, when circle is calling get color method, what is happening? So, circle is calling get color is returning the color, right, we are not having any set color, yes, get color, right, will return the color, circle dot get color, so that means it is returning color. So, what is color? So, you are already saved this dot color is color, right. So, here you go return color, so color is red. So, for this particular output I should get red, for this particular output I should get red. And the next one, circle dot calculate area, right, circle dot calculate area, right. So, circle you have under circle class, right, circle under you have circle class overriding, right. So, pi into r into r, so here it is overridden, so it will not call this, so here you have, so this will be called. So, pi into r star r, so r you are passing 5 means pi into 5 into 5, right, pi value into 5 into 5. So, that will be displayed, right, when I run the code. So, this will be pi into 5.0 the whole squared, you calculate and keep it ready, right. So, 3.14 into 25, right. So, you see what is the result, alright. Similarly, when you are creating an object rectangle under capital R rectangle, that class, you are passing blue 4.0 and 6.0, right. So, 3 we are passing, 3 arguments we are passing, right. So, 3 parameters, color and then hopefully length and width, color, length and width, right. So, when you are passing this, it is calling the base class super color. So, that means color is being set like last derived class, what it is happening, same thing, this dot color is color, right. So, what is the color you passed? Blue, right. So, we have passed blue. So, now this will be blue, right, and then when it is calling rectangle dot get color, color will be returned. So, here I will get the output blue, here I will get the output blue. So, these are all the output, I will just tick it, we will see, right, you will get the output blue. And rectangle dot calculate area, it will be overridden and it goes here, calculate area is nothing but length into width. So, what is the length you are passing? 4 and 6, 4 into 6 I will get 24, this calculation is slightly easier. So, 24.0, I have to get 24.0. So, red pi will be multiplied with 5 into 5, blue 24.0 will should be my output, right. So, when I run the code, right, so I will get the output of this, right. So, you can try. So, what you can do, you try and get the output of this. So, you should get one output is red and another output is pi into 5.0 the whole square, right. So, the third output for rectangle dot get color, you have to get blue as the output and at the last 24.0, 4 into 6 will be the output. So, the 4 output you will get, right. So, this is how the hierarchical inheritance is working, right. So, here when you look at the scenario, your shape is the base class, right, your shape is the base class and circle and rectangle both are inheriting shape, right. So, this is how exactly happening, right. Circle is the derived class where base class is shape, rectangle is the derived class and base class is shape, right. And then you are having the set color, get color, calculate area, in fact calculate area is being overridden, right. So, when we talk about method overriding, right. So, we will take the same example, right, we will take the same example, work it out, right. So, now the task is, so what I am asking you, run the code and get the output. So, this you have to get the output. Anyway, this program we are going to see again, right. In the case of overriding, at that time we will verify what are all the output we are going to get. So, one is red, another one is pi will be multiplied by 5.0 into 5.0, third output you have to get blue, and fourth output you have to get 24.0. So, you note down this. So, when we talk about overriding methods, we will take the same example. Okay. So, the next concept is the friend function, right. Suppose, right, if a function is defined as a friend function in programming like C++, then suppose you want to access the protected and private member data, right, of a particular class. So, this can be accessed using the friend function. So, it is exactly the meaning of friend, right. So, I mean you can take any help from the friend, the usual meaning, the physical meaning, right. So, in a similar way, so if you recall, we had some problem of using this protected member data and private member data, right. So, how we can access? So, we had lot of restrictions when you use the inheritance, we had lot of restriction, but suppose you are using a friend function. So, these protected and member data of a class can be accessed, right. So, that you are defining as a friend function. So, here we use the keyword called friend, right. So, we use the keyword called friend. So, when you use the keyword called friend, the compiler knows the given function is a friend function, alright. So, the compiler will come to know the given function is a friend function. So, now suppose I want to access a data, right. So, when you have the declaration of a friend function, right. So, this should be done inside the body of a class, right. So, which is starting with the keyword friend. We will see an example, right. So, I will write inside the class. So, I will put friend and then whatever be the name of the function. So, we will see with the help of a syntax. So, here you have class, name of the class. So, inside, see, let us assume one of the statement, alright, I am writing like this. So, I use the keyword called friend, right, I use the keyword called friend, and then you have data type, right. So, you have a data type, and then here you have name of the function, right, name of the function. As usual you will have an argument, the usual function name with the argument, right. So, this is exactly the syntax and then your class is over. So, inside the class you can have, right, anything like a member data, other member functions. So, once you put the word friend, the compiler knows that the given function is a friend function, alright. So, that means when I want to access any data, I am going to do, right, suppose I want to declare this function outside the class. So, I can do it, right. So, that we are going to see. So, suppose I want to write define over here inside the class and I want to define outside, yes, it is being done. So, that means that function I am making as a friend. So, with the keyword friend I can use this particular concept. So, that means the friend function is preceded by the keyword friend. So, here you go, I am using the keyword friend, right, and then a usual function, the return type, you have data type and the name of the function and you will have the arguments, right. And the beauty is, so here the function you can define anywhere in the program, like the procedural oriented program you had seen. Suppose I want to write a factorial function. So, I can write it anywhere and then you are calling the function. In a similar way you can define a function and inside the class you make this as a friend, alright. So, that is what, if you look at the second point. So, the function can be defined anywhere in the program, right, like what you had done in the case of C++, alright. And the last point is the function definition does not use either the keyword friend or scope resolution operator. So, when I want to define a function, you can define as a normal function, right. For example, here you have friend int factorial, right, int, let us say factorial 1 int n. So, this function, assume that instead of this I am writing this. So, this function I can write it anywhere, right. I am not going to use any friend keyword or I am not going to use any scope resolution operator. So, like a normal function I am going to define outside the class. Alright. Anyway, we will see an example how this friend function is working. Alright. So, here you go. So, you have class box. Under class box you have a private member data called length. Alright. So, here you have a constructor length is equal to 0. Right. Here you have a constructor length equal to 0. So, now I have one friend function, friend whose function is print length. You are passing the object box, right, you have a class box and the return type is integer, right, you have a parameter argument whose class is box, right, and the name of the function, if you look, it is a print length, right, your class is over here. So, now with the usual function definition I am doing this, with the usual function definition I am doing this, alright. I have defined an object B under class box, name of the function is print length which is nothing but friend. So, this function is friend to class box, that is the meaning, alright. So, this function is friend to class box. So, that means this function can access, alright, any member data or member function. For example, here I have b dot length, right, small b, I created an object under box. So, b dot length, if you look, I am using this outside the class. So, this can be very well done and moreover it is a private member data, right, int length is a private member data, that is a beauty over here. So, now since this is a friend function, I can very well use, you do not get error. So, b dot length is equal to b dot length plus 10, that is the meaning, and then whatever you are getting the output, return b dot length, alright. So, that means b dot length is being returned when it is being called, right. So, now we will see how we are going to call this, right. So, here you have int main, I created an object b under box, see out, I call this function print length of b, passing b, right. So, when you are calling this function, right, so this object is being passed b dot length, right. So, b dot length initially 0, by default it will call the constructor, right, when you are creating this object box b, it will call the constructor and in the constructor what is the value, value is 0, right. So, this value will be added to 10, 0 plus 10, right. So, that means b dot length is 10, b dot length will be returned. So, here you will get the output 10, right, here you will get the output 10. So, return 0, right. So, is it clear? So, the key point here is line number 11, friend function, right. So, you have friend function and the friend function is being defined line number 14 to 18. In fact, you are defining outside the class and outside the class the beauty is you are using length which is the private member data for box, right, and when you are calling this you are getting the output 10, right. So, when I run the code I will get the length of the box, right. So, this is the output and what is the value 10 I am getting, right. So, initially when you are having the constructor, right, when you are instantiating this object b, the constructor will be called length is 0, right, that is what you are doing this, length is 0, right, and then when you are calling this function print length, right. So, here you go, you have print length. So, b dot length, right, you are passing b. So, what is b dot length? 0 previously, the 0 will be added with 10, that is what the statement here. So, 0 plus 10 is 10. So, therefore, you are getting the output 10 when you are calling this function because it is returning b dot length. So, you are getting the output 10 and when you are running the code, here you go, you will get the output 10. I hope it is clear for everyone. This is how the friend function works. So, in fact, we had seen 5 different types of inheritance and then the friend function, when I want to access outside the class, I can even access the private member data and protected member data without any problem, particularly the private member data. Here you go, right. So, particularly when I want to access the private member data in this particular program, not a problem. Line number 16 you can see b dot length equal to b dot length plus 10, right, 0 plus 10 you are getting the value 10 and that is being returned and here you have the value 10, right. So, this is how the friend function works, right, you are getting the output 10. So, in the last few lectures we had seen different types of inheritance in C++, right. So, we call this as a single inheritance where class A is the base class and class B is the derived class, right. So, you call this as a single inheritance, whereas all the properties of class A can be utilized by class B. Similarly, you have multi-level inheritance. Class A is the base class, right. Class B is inherited, right. It is inheriting the properties of class A, and class C is inheriting the properties of class B. So, when you have this hierarchy, you call this as multi-level inheritance. So, here class A is the base class, class B is the derived class of class A, and class C is the derived class of class B. We call this as a multi-level inheritance. And the third one is multiple inheritance, right. So, here class C is a derived class, but the base classes are class A and class B. So, which is possible in C++, right, whereas this concept is not available in Java, right. Multiple inheritance is not available with respect to class, right. So, later, sooner or later, we are going to study about the interface. The interface part in Java will take care of this multiple inheritance. And the fourth one is hierarchical inheritance. We had seen the example, right, in both C++ and Java, where class B and class C, right, they are the derived class, whereas for both these B and C, class A is the base class. So, you call this as a hierarchical inheritance. Now, the combination of multiple and hierarchical. So, that means this is possible in C++, combination of multiple and hierarchical, you call it as hybrid. So, class B and class C are derived from class A, and class D is derived from class B and class C, which is possible, right. So, these are all the types of inheritance we had seen in C++, all the examples, right, all the properties along with the friend function, right. So, where we have concluded that all these inheritance, all these 5 inheritance are available in C++, whereas multiple inheritance is not available in Java. So, obviously, hybrid inheritance is also not available in Java. So, we have seen several examples and several case studies. So, with this, we are concluding the inheritance concept. Thank you.